Hey guys, welcome back again. Dave's Mention. Welcome back again for another video. Welcome back again to the channel that is your home for tech, toys, and talk. And of course, the channel where chaos and insanity will always reign supreme. And I got a rant. Yes, it is August 1st, 2023, and I just watched The Flash, aka The Shit Show. This is gonna be a no holds barred review of Warner Brother Discovery's cluster crapper of a movie simply called The Flash. This is the Ezra Miller vehicle that was supposed to propel and help steer the next waves of Warner Brothers, but in DC Comics, at least in their cinematic universe, what a fucking failure. I mean, Jesus Christ. And by the way, I'm going to be swearing throughout this whole thing, okay? And by the way, this is not spoiler free. We will be discussing anything and everything that happens in the damn movie. Let's just start off with Ezra Miller. Personally, I'm not a fan of him. I think he was the wrong casting for The Flash. And not to mention, he's a shit show of a person in real life. Honestly, we see him portraying a younger Barry. We see him portraying the current Barry. And the only time that he's actually enjoyable or even respectable is when the chips are down, everything is basically falling apart. He's in a different timeline, a different universe. He's working alongside Batman, Michael Keaton, and he's actually, him with his younger Barry Allen. He is more stable. He's more leader. He's more Barry Allen than we've seen in any iteration, whether it's Justice League, and no matter what version of Justice League you're talking about. I mean, it's um, and the little shit cameo he did in Peacemaker. Peacemaker's a great show, but I'm like, I've never been a fan of Ezra Miller. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff, like the basically the Harry Potter prequels, the Fantastic Beasts. I wasn't a fan of him. The only kind of stable or any kind of enjoyable type character is, like I said, when the chips are down and someone has to step up and kind of like steer young Barry in the right direction, and that's him. Um, the only highlights to this is a nice what if, and this is a nice it's a nice look at time travel movies. Okay, we always see the movies where they branch off and, oh, I can go back into the past, but nothing before that moment in time is going to be changed. That doesn't happen here. It's the pond. Okay, you drop a pebble in a pond, it's ripples, and let's say someone drops another pebble at the same time. Those ripples are going to intersect and create other ripples that will shockwave through the entire surface of the pond. And that's pretty much what happens here. By Barry going back in time, by Barry going back in time to begin with, he creates this kind of, I don't want to say a mandala, because I'm sure it's not the right terminology, but he creates this massive shockwave that causes his Bruce Wayne to never even be. We don't get, Ben Affleck is kind of erased from time, and now Michael Keaton has been Batman, and now Gotham's the safest city in the world. Um, there is no Aquaman. There's no Arthur Curry. In fact, Arthur's father is now married to a regular human, and everything just creates these ripples, and they're trying to figure out what they can do. I mean, at some one point, Barry even loses his powers because he's trying to make sure his younger self gets his powers, and it backfires. And if you're a Flashpoint comics fan, you will get that certain scene that you know what I'm talking about, when Barry has to get his powers back. So we get that, but we get a different kind of approach to it. It still does well. The Zod stuff is, I mean, it's interesting, but they could have written it a little bit stronger, a little bit better. Um, there's just so much in it. I mean, yes, I've heard that people talk about the special effects. The special effects are shit. They really are. As far as Zod and the other Kryptonians who are fighting, because it kind of takes you to the moment in time when Zod first came to Earth and he was seeking out Kal El. In fact, there is no Kal El, Because of these ripples in time, somehow Kal-El never reached Earth, but his cousin Kara did. I know everything is completely ass backwards. It's a complete shit show. Um, the special effects, as far as Zod and the other Kryptonians when they're fighting, it looks like the same level of special effects, or maybe even a few steps backwards than they were in Man of Steel, which I believe was 2009. I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comment section below if I'm wrong, and give me the exact time so I know better for the future. It was just a shit show. I mean, the only highlight was getting Michael Keaton's Batman back in his suits. I mean, they even recreated his Wayne Manor. There was no Alfred, of course, because obviously that Batman was, full blown in 1989, and we're many, many, many moons later, guys. So, but I mean, we get several Batmen in this movie because it also kind of bridges the gap with the multiverse. At one point in time, both Barrys are traveling through the Speed Force, and it kind of, because his younger self keeps ripping through the Speed Force to try and go back and fixes things. It's kind of like, okay, if let's say I break a coffee cup, okay, break it once, I could probably super glue it back together. Now, if I break it again and again and again, no matter how well I try and forge it back together with super glue or tape or whatever the case may be, there's still going to be fragments, there's still going to be fractures in it. It's never going to be as solid as it was from before I dropped it, okay? And that's the thing with the Speed Force and the multiverse here. We get cracks of the multiverse. We start to see the other the other DC universes. We see Christopher Reeve, and even that CGI looked like crap. We get to see him and Supergirl. We get to see... we actually get to see Adam West's Batman faintly. We get to see other Supermen like George Reeve from the old Black and White series way back when. We even get Nicolas Cage's Superman, and I'll be honest, he looked kind of badass. I'm just saying. It's a shame we didn't get Brandon Routh or even maybe a glimpse at Smallville. That would have been pretty cool. But there was a lot of focus on Superman, not so much on Batman. We could have had different iterations of Wonder Woman. We did get an iteration of another Flash, not a Wally West, but Jay Garrick Flash. And yes, he does look like Teddy Sears, but it was not Teddy Sears who played Jay Garrick / Zoom in the CW's The Flash, which starred Grant Gustin. And there was no Grant Gustin callbacks, which is kind of a shit thing to do. Me, personally, I'm a big Flash fan. I really am. I think Grant Gustin and John Wesley Shipp are the two best Flashes we've ever had in live action. Ever. One of the best Flashes in animation, Michael Rosenbaum. Hands down. Shoot me if you want. But we didn't get any callbacks to any of them. Now, they had someone who looked very much like Teddy Sears, who played Jay Garrick and Zoom. He was pretending to be Jay Garrick, but he was Zoom the entire time. Zolomon, can't remember his last name. Hunter Zolomon was his name. It was not him. It was an actor who looked very much like him. I think they kind of went with that look because that's kind of the classic, the Silver Age, or should I say the Golden Age Flash. The writing was all over the place. They did good bringing back Bruce Wayne, bringing back Michael Keaton. To me, that was the highlight of the movie. But it was just a complete shit show. Like I said, the only time that Ezra Miller was even felt like Barry Allen was when he's trying to steer his younger counterpart, his younger self, into doing the right thing and saying, you have to listen to me. Don't start running before I finish. Let me finish my sentence. Let me tell you what you need to know. And he actually comes together pretty well, and he's trying to warn his younger self. Listen, you're not ready for this, or you shouldn't be doing this. And his younger self, of course, doesn't listen. We see this in movies all the time. But this was the only time that he felt like Barry Allen to me. every time we see Ezra Miller, he is just like this ADHD. Um, and nothing against anyone with ADHD, but he seems very hyper, very unsure of himself. Like he's being pulled in 1,000 different directions. I get you're the Flash, but that doesn't mean you have to be talking and running around at 1,000 miles an hour mentally, character wise. You shouldn't have to do that. The beginning of the movie, we get Alfred summoning Barry that there's a disaster in Gotham. There's these this hospital is under some kind of attack, and part of the hospital is about to collapse. And there's this whole baby ward of babies that are about to fly through the air and just fall to their deaths. Bad CGI all over the place. Um, and even the nurse is like hysterically crying and shrieking like she doesn't know what to do with her life, even after Barry saves her. It's just I keep saying shit show, and it really is a shit show. Okay, I feel like Ace Ventura. Okay, I feel like Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura, towards the end of the movie when he finds out Einhorn is Finkel and Finkel is Einhorn. Spoiler alert, right? That's how dirty I feel. I feel dirty after watching this damn movie. Do I recommend watching it? You know what? You could fast forward to the Michael Keaton parts. You really could. Michael Keaton, to me, he can still pull off Batman, and he does it so well. I mean, at his age, he can still do Batman. I'm dying to see him back as Beetlejuice, but who knows when that's going to happen with the SAG, with the Actors Screenwriters Guild, and also the Writers Guild strike still going on. And here at Dave's Dimension, we fully support you. This is a movie that was made quite a while ago, and was already released before the writer's strike and the actor's strike. So, proportionally, we are still respecting, and we still here at Dave's Dimension, me, Mrs. Dimension, and many of my fellow YouTubers fully support the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild. And I'm fully behind them. I will rewatch old shows and old movies. It's what I do. And speaking of movies, you guys can also check me and my buddy Dre out every Wednesday night on the Outer Dimensions podcast on the Outer Dimensions podcast channel, guys. So please go over there and check us out. We review, we don't talk about brand new movies. We talk about movies that have been out for ages. We do like a best of. We did a conspiracy week once where we pulled 3 movies that had to do with conspiracies. This week, we're actually doing an Expendables. Yeah, you heard it. An Expendables draft. Me and Dre are choosing 2 fantasy drafts of who we would want as our expendable teams. And these teams are going to have to kind of go on and take on a certain kind of mission. And you guys can vote for us. Go over to the Outer Dimensions podcast channel on YouTube. It's a separate channel from mine. And go ahead and check out me and Dre every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can always catch us anytime on YouTube thereafter. And also, our podcasts are available on Spotify. But guys, I know it took me a while to see Flash. I finally watched it. I love the Michael Keaton scenes because he's always going to be my hardcore Batman. He really is. Nothing against Nolan. Nothing against Matt Reeves. They've made some fantastic Bat movies, but Michael Keaton on Batman that's always going to be the OG. I wish there could have been a little bit more, and I'm probably saying her name incorrectly, Sasha Calle, the young lady who plays Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. I thought she did good, but I really wish they would have given her more. Maybe more dialogue, give her a little bit more depth to her character. The fact that James Gunn is going to be rebooting the DC universe means that these characters will probably never appear on screen again. Possibly, who knows? Maybe it'll be another Flash type situation where we'll get callbacks to those past movies and past heroes. I would have loved to see more of her Supergirl, because one, I like that she has naturally dark hair, obviously, and they went with that because that makes sense. If Jor-El had dark hair and then, Clark Kal-El had dark hair, it would make sense that, most likely his cousin, his family would also have some darker hair. So it kind of makes sense. And I like that she was she was a little bit older, so she had more of the Kryptonian upbringing, more ingrained into her than in Kal-El. And, it just felt like the music was, in my opinion, the music was terrible. Aside from the bringing back the old Batman score, um, the musical score felt terrible. The choice of soundtracks, the actual songs that they featured by various artists in this movie, it felt like it was trying to emulate other people and failing tremendously. Tremendously. The soundtrack is a big failure. Aside from the original Batman theme, um, aside from that, it felt like it was falling apart. It felt like it was trying hard too much. You don't have to try that hard, but honestly, in my opinion, I personally have never liked Ezra Miller as the Flash as Barry Allen. There's so many other people. I'm not saying Grant Gustin. He was great on TV. He was great on TV. You could go with the completely unknown, and that would make more sense. Now, there are a few spoilers. Just when Barry thinks he gets the timeline put back, someone shows up. He thinks it's Bruce Wayne. It's a Bruce Wayne, but it's not our Bruce Wayne. Yeah, it's just all kinds of. It makes me feel dirty. I'm a big one. I mean, come on. I'm a DC. I'm Marvel and DC right there, guys. Okay, it just felt like it was a miss. It was a miss. Aside from the Michael Keaton, I loved it. I really wish they would release Batgirl so we can see more Keaton because he was featured in that as well. But from what I understand, it's not going to happen. But who knows? Fingers crossed with the strike. Who knows? We never thought we'd get a Snyder cut of Justice League, but we did. So, guys, that's my rant. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Just like Dennis Leary used to say on Saturday Night Live. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, guys. Guys, if you feel the same way, let me know in the comment section below. If you don't, if you have a strong opinion about what I said, if you think I'm a complete idiot, let me know in the comment section below, or you can hit me up on my socials at Daves_Dimension on Instagram, Dimension Daves on Twitter. I know the big X now. Really, seriously? What? Just what? Or DavesDimension78 at gmail.com. And of course, if you want to contribute to the channel, we have our Cash App that you can always see right there in the socials, right here. Go ahead and check it out if you feel like supporting us. If not, hey, we're still rocking and rolling. We got, as you can see, I got a bunch of figures I still need to unbox. We have some empty spaces that need to be filled up. We have a lot coming through the pipeline. But guys, until next time, this is Dave from Dave's Dimension saying, keep on busting. And you know what I'm going to say. I say it every single time. I will always catch you on the flip side.